In today's episode of Polishing a Turd, we're doing something I've never done before, and that's bondo. I highly recommend getting a good mask to wear when using bondo to protect yourself from all the hazardous debris and fumes that come off of bondo. But to start off, find yourself the best looking piece of cardboard you have laying around, and we're going to start with that for our first tool. And here is our beautiful dent that we're going to be working on. The first thing we're going to do is get out some sandpaper and use 80 grit on the area that we're going to be using the bondo on. Now keep in mind, this is my first time using bondo, so I'm not even quite sure what I'm doing yet. But what you're going to do is just sand down until you have a good looking area to where it's all smooth and dull looking so that it's ready to apply the bondo. And here's a very important part. Make sure to go get your wife's favorite spatula to go and mix the bondo with, and be sure not to tell her until she watches the video and figures out for herself. I mean, just look at it go. It's so good at what it does. Now we're going to do some chemistry and mix the bondo and hardener in a 50-to-1 ratio, or to where it just basically looks like that, and make sure it's all mixed up real good. And here is our first attempt. I know, it looks hideous, but this is just our first pass with it, and this is my first time using it, learning how it works. So we're going to go back for another coat, and hopefully it looks a little better. What I've noticed with applying the bondo is it's probably better to try and do it all in one consistent motion, like going one way, not trying to do it all over the place. It just makes it more messy. And definitely get a palm sander for when you're sanding down the bondo after it hardens, because trying to do it by hand is going to be real rough. But here's what it looks like after applying and sanding the first coat. You know, not awful, but here's another pass that we're going to do. We're going to do at least 2 to 3, maybe 4 passes of sanding and reapplying bondo until we're done. And it might look ugly from outside, but what we're looking for is to make sure it's completely smooth and flat, which it is right now, which I'm going to be happy with that, and we're going to move on to priming the area that we just worked on. So go ahead and tape off the areas that you don't want to get paint on and hit it with the coat of primer, ideally at least 1 to 2 coats. But we're going to end up painting this entire vehicle anyway, so I'm not worried about how the primer looks on it. And after finishing this, I had noticed that there's 2 little softball-sized dents on the side of the bed that I did not notice before. But we're just going to roll with that. And please be sure to roast me in the comments for my bondo.